Good morning. I am Stephen C. Today is Friday, March 21st, 2025. Okay, we are coming right up on the spring equinox. Pisces is giving way to Aries. The trees, the leaves are about to bud. Flowers are about to push through the soil. Aries, that ability to push through, the ability to break through, the return to life. Here we are at 8:15 this morning. Generally, this live happens at 11 a.m. Central Time every day. It is around 8:15, 8:30 Central Time here. And we're doing this live today because I will be occupied at 11 a.m. Central. And I will at that time go live, but it will not be in this format with the Course in Miracles. It will be more of a free-form live if I am able to make that happen. So we've started a little bit earlier this morning, but the reason we are here is to continue to talk about our spirituality, metaphysical principles, esoteric Christianity, if you will, through the framework of A Course in Miracles. So every day we attend to the lesson of the day in this live, and then also a portion of the text from the Course that corresponds to the lesson of the day. And so far, we have done that 79 times this year, and today is day 80, Friday, March 21st. So we begin each of these lives by looking at the introduction to the Course and reading the introduction to the Course as a kind of centering, a prayer, a way to begin our study of the Course. And so it says, the introduction to the text says, this is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The Course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. The Course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And I start all the lives with that reading of the introduction, because it's a great setup for the Course in Miracles. It says right off the jump that this is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. You cannot establish the curriculum. Okay, so the curriculum is that we are here to awaken. We are here to come to ourselves. I am sharing this live. Please share the live if you get a chance. Like the live. Follow this account. I do talk about spirituality, esoteric subjects, and other metaphysical and occult practices, esoteric Christianity, if you will. I'm wasting my time, mankind's master says. Well, we all have our opinion, don't we? I'm not wasting my time from this end. I can tell you that. Course in Miracles has been quite profitable for me. And what does it profit a man if he gain the whole world but loseth his soul? Well, mankind's master. All right, wait, friend. Well, I'm not sure what you're getting at, except that I'm wasting my time. But that's okay. The course, yeah, there you go. You finally said something I agree with. It profits a man the realization that religion is in his heart and not in a book, of course. I agree 100%. Yeah, as I said when I started, we're just using the Course in Miracles or any references to the Bible or the Bhagavad Gita or the Quran or anything else that has been written down. It has been written on our heart, as you say. The only reason I use that is as a framework. So there's a Christian framework, there's a Buddhist framework, there's a Hindu framework. All those types of things, of course, are a perennial philosophy, ancient wisdom teachings, as they're sometimes referred to. So that's what we are talking about. We are talking about and what is on our heart. So let's agree about that. That's what we are talking about. So if you missed the live, or if you would like to see some of the other lives, I do take this live, download it, and then upload it over on YouTube. So you can follow me over on YouTube. You can follow the account here at Stevo Sees. You can also go to YouTube at Stevo Sees. So you can follow over there. You can like some of the uploads over on YouTube. And so let's go to lesson 80, because remember, we are working on the transformation of our minds and hearts. We are moving away from the ego mind, a mind of contention, a mind of division, the part of the mind that believes in separation, the part of the mind that is judgmental and critical. So we are looking to dissolve that part of the mind. We are looking to undo it, as it says in A Course in Miracles, and then adopt the vibration and the frequency of the higher mind, the mind of the Holy Spirit, the mind of God, which is a part of each of our individual minds in a holographic sense. So today is Friday, March 21st, 2025, which is the 80th day of the year. And so we are looking at lesson 80. Let me recognize my problems have been solved. So yesterday we started with the idea. Yesterday we said, let me recognize the problem so that it can be solved. Today we are saying, in order to extend that idea and place that idea more firmly in our minds, that we do not, in fact, have any problems. Let me recognize my problems have been solved. So, first we identify the problem, then we recognize that the problem has been solved. It says, if you are willing, we have to be willing to recognize your problems, you will recognize that you have no problems. Your one central problem has been answered and you have no other. Therefore, you must be at peace. Salvation thus depends on recognizing this one problem and understanding that it has been solved. One problem, one solution. Salvation is accomplished. Freedom from conflict has been given you. Freedom from conflict has been given you. Okay, if we engage in conflict, we are engaging in an illusion, as the Course says. The only thing that can be fought is an illusion. And so the idea is that there's a part of our mind that is itself an illusion, called the ego mind in the Course in Miracles, called the carnal mind in the comic book, as my friend here is saying. called the carnal mind in the body, in the Bible, called the ego mind in Course in Miracles. And that ego mind has a sense of separation. And also, that ego mind is very deceptive, very clever, very inventive, with its ability to obscure the truth, to obscure true reasoning, which is the function of the Holy Spirit. Now, this terminology and this framework is Christian, but don't trip on that. This is a universal curriculum, as the Course says, and this is just one form of it. So we are all here for the same purpose. We are all here working on the same thing, seeking to wake up, seeking to come to our true self. Your one central problem has been answered. You have no other. So one problem, one solution. The idea is to turn to the voice of the Holy Spirit. Salvation is accomplished. Freedom from conflict has been given you. It has to be accepted, of course. Accept that fact, and you are ready to take your rightful place in God's plan for salvation. Second paragraph says your only problem has been solved. Repeat this over and over to yourself today with gratitude and conviction. My only problem has been solved. Let me recognize that the problem, the singular problem, the problem of separation, the problem of separation, CEOUS, is just here trying to make money and survive. God bless us all. Okay, CEOUS, CEOUS. Welcome, good morning. You have laid, let's see, your only problem has been solved. Repeat this over and over to yourself today with gratitude and conviction. You have recognized your only problem, opening the way for the Holy Spirit to give you God's answer. You have laid deception aside and seen the light of truth. You have accepted salvation for yourself by bringing the problem to the answer, and you can recognize the answer because the problem has been identified. So yesterday, in the portion that we read, it said, you may not recognize the problem. If you do not recognize the problem, then you can hardly recognize the solution. The solution may have already been given to you. If you do not recognize the problem, you will not recognize the solution. So the solution has already been given. If I do not recognize the problem, I won't recognize the solution. Problem is the idea of separation. The problem is the idea, according to the Course in Miracles, that I am separate from you. I am different from you. That we are opposed to each other in some form or fashion, across some subject or in some manner. There is a dispute between us. There is a difference in thinking, and that then gets translated into the body. And so there is a reason for war between us. There is a reason for hate. There is a reason for attack. This is what the Course identifies as the problem with the ego mind, the problem with the carnal mind. And there is a solution. In fact, as we are finding out today, the solution has already been given. The solution has already taken effect if we will simply accept that fact. Okay, time and space is an illusion. The eternal, which is creation in the mind of God, the eternal, which is in the mind of God, has not changed, will not change, has never changed. We are a thought in the mind of God, and we have not changed. God has created us in his or its image and likeness. Therefore, we are perfect, whole, and complete. And this is the thought system. This is the idea we are practicing to accept. Third paragraph says you are entitled to peace today. A problem that has been resolved cannot trouble you. So we are training our mind in these types of thoughts. And if we meditate on these thoughts, if we contemplate these thoughts, if we slow down and swallow these thoughts, for instance, if we consume these thoughts, but don't just consume them on a superficial level, but allow them to sink in. Thank you for the likes, Yellow Rose. Appreciate it. Everybody, please like this live, like this podcast. That helps distribute it to others. Okay, that helps spread the message. Thank you, Yellow Rose. Okay, a problem that has been resolved cannot trouble you. A problem that has been resolved does not trouble us. Only be certain you do not forget that all problems are the same. Their many forms will not deceive you while you remember this. One problem, one solution. Accept the peace this simple statement brings. Okay, so we are looking for a state of peace, not a state of fear, not a state of attack, not a state of contention, a state of acceptance and peace, allowing what is happening, allowing the world to be just as it is, allowing everyone to be just as they are, with the understanding that there is a higher power in charge of the world. There is a higher power that is directing and guiding this experience and directing and guiding our experience. And so we are grateful and thankful for that today. Accept the peace this simple statement brings. One problem, one solution. Let me accept that the problem has been solved. The problem of consciousness, the problem of awakening has been solved. Now we practice that statement. This is the workbook from the Course in Miracles. This is lesson 80. So we have been practicing one statement per day for 79 days. Today is day 80. And so there is a complete thought system in this workbook, according to the Course in Miracles. Okay, according to the preface to the workbook, the introduction to the workbook, and also according to the preface of the entire text. This is a complete thought system that if we practice it, it will prove effective. It will prove valuable. It will prove its value. It will prove valuable. The introduction to the workbook says you just practice the ideas. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to understand them. In fact, you may actively resist them. None of that matters. If you have the discipline simply to practice them, they will be effective, and you will begin to see and understand more and more what the text and the workbook are about, what that different state of mind is that the Course is leading us to. In our longer practice periods today, we will claim the peace that must be ours when the problem and the answer have been brought together. So we're bringing the problem to the answer. We are not bringing the answer to the problem. And the idea behind that is that the answer is the truth, and the truth does not contest the false. The truth does not recognize the false at all. This is the definition of forgiveness in the Course. The only thing that can be forgiven is an illusion. Illusions do not exist. So when we finally come to that revelation and that realization, practice of forgiveness finally brings us to the point where we realize, as it says in the Course, there is nothing to forgive. When you wake up from a dream, and this life, this existence is a dream, it is an illusion, it is Maya, okay? It is the play of consciousness. Once it is realized that it is a dream and illusion, there is nothing then to forgive. If what I see is a dream, it is meaningless, it has no reality, it will pass away in its specifics, and in general, it will eventually pass away. Time is to be used to achieve that state of consciousness. That's what time is for. Thank you, Ruben, for sharing the live. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir. Everybody, you can share the live. Hit the arrow button at the bottom of the screen, share the live, follow this account, and hit the like button. Hit the screen. If you just tap on the screen, you can send 100 likes. You can send 1,000 likes if you just keep tapping it. That will also help distribute this live. So thank you, Ruben, for participating. So the problem must be gone because God's answer cannot fail. Having recognized one, you have recognized the other. Problem and the answer have been brought together. Once you recognize the answer, which is alignment with God, God consciousness, I and the Father are one. I am in you, you are in me, and we are in the Father. Okay? We are from the source, so we are part of the source. Once that answer, once the problem has been brought to that answer, having recognized one, you have recognized the others. The solution is inherent in the problem. You are answered and have accepted the answer. You are saved. This is salvation. This is the atonement, according to the Course in Miracles. Atonement at one minute. Okay? One with the source, one in consciousness. A unified consciousness, a unity consciousness cannot attack itself. Okay? Now let the peace that your acceptance brings be given you. Close your eyes and receive your reward. Recognize that your problems have been solved. Recognize that you are out of conflict, free and at peace. Above all, remember that you have one problem and that the problem has one solution. Singular problem is the belief in the idea of separation. The belief in any form that I am separate from you, that you are separate from me. This is not the truth. That is part of the dream. That is part of the illusion. We are one. I and my brother are one. We share the same consciousness. Okay? We share the same awareness. We share the same I. When we say I am, we're all using the same I, the same I am. And so that is the answer. That is the solution. That is the teaching of the Holy Spirit. It is in this that the simplicity of salvation lies. It is because of this that it is guaranteed to work. And remember, that solution, that salvation has already been provided in the mind of the Holy Spirit, which is the bridge back to the source, back to the Father, back to the Alpha and the Omega. Okay. In that mind, this, what we're talking about, has already been accomplished. It is already true. It has never not been true. Assure yourself often today that your problems have been solved. Repeat the idea with deep conviction. So we want to keep repeating this idea basically until our experience is that there are no problems, when a challenge presents itself, when something seems to go awry, when we seem to be distracted, when we seem to move off of the track, when we seem to wander from the path, okay, we want to recall to ourselves the answer and the solution, that it's simply an illusion. It's not true. It will work itself out. It will come back to the center. We will come back to the center. So we're going to let it go. We're not going to look at it. We're not going to get involved with it. The Course repeatedly says that the Holy Spirit does not look upon mistakes, does not look upon sin. The Holy Spirit cannot see sin. So I want to join with the Holy Spirit in that vision, in that way of looking at things. A unified consciousness, if there is a challenge, if there is resistance, it's an internal resistance, really. We're battling ourselves. The idea is self-mastery. The idea is to master our own, the antagonist within, if you will. And really, once we take a deep breath, meditate, understand that everything works itself out, you won't even feel that way. You won't even feel like there's an antagonist, that we're being antagonized. There will simply be a flow, an openness, a love, and a light, a vibration of accepting and allowing, that we can simply serve throughout the day, weeks, months, and years. So this is what our practice is. And the Course says the only goal of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. Okay, accept that unity consciousness for myself. Everything else works itself out. It also gets extended automatically to everyone else. There's an automatic extension through the grace of the Holy Spirit, that vibration, that aura, if you will. People can sense it, people can feel it, and then the Holy Spirit, who is a part of their consciousness also, works with them, knowing what they need to know, knowing what they need to work out. And so it all gets taken care of. Assure yourself often today that your problems, all the problems, remember, again, are a singular problem. All my problems, all my specific problems, are subsets of one grand problem. The idea, the belief that I'm separate, that I'm different at the core, at the foundation, not different at all. Unified consciousness. Assure yourself often today that your problems have been solved. Repeat the idea with deep conviction as frequently as possible, and be particularly sure to apply the idea for today to any specific problem that may arise. The specific problems. Thank you, Tom, for the like. Hi, Tom. Tom is a frequent participant here on this live. I started a little bit earlier today, Tom. I have an appointment at the regular time that I'm on this live. So I'm glad you got the notification and that you're here. I'll be installing some cameras at a retail establishment today, some security cameras. So if I get a chance while I'm there at 11, I'll also try to click in and do the live so people don't feel abandoned. But I'm doing the dive into the lesson and the text this morning a little bit earlier. So thanks for responding to the notification. Appreciate it. Good to see you. So assure yourself often today that your problems have been solved. Repeat the idea with deep conviction as frequently as possible and be particularly sure to apply the idea for today to any specific problem that may arise. The specific problems, that's the domain of the ego, which is constantly dividing, right? Analyzing, dividing, judging. Okay, we're not going to throw discernment out the window. We're just not going to get caught up in it. Yeah, there's all these differences. It's true, right? Different ages, different different colors, different sexes, different occupations, different locations. All those things are different. We're going to look past those to the one thing that's the same, right? And we're going to accept the diversity. We're going to enjoy the diversity and not use it as a symbol of division. We're going to accept the diversity and enjoy the diversity and allow the diversity. Diversity is a good thing, okay? And doesn't need to be an instrument of division. So specific problems from the ego, more of a general sense of acceptance, a unified consciousness is the domain of the Holy Spirit or God consciousness or universal consciousness, Christ consciousness. Say quickly, let me recognize this problem, a particular problem has been solved. Let me recognize it has been solved. And then be still and know. Simply accept the fact that the problem is already solved. And now I'm just going to be a witness to the solution. Amazing, right? That takes a lot of the weight off my shoulders. If I know the problem's already been solved and I'm just waiting, walking through it, being still, and allowing the solution to appear, allowing the solution to manifest itself. Let us be determined not to collect grievances today. Let us be determined to be free of problems that do not exist. The means is simple honesty. Do not deceive yourself about what the problem is, and you must recognize it has been solved. Okay? And it's a simple practice of learning how to reason with the Holy Spirit, learning how to reason in the same mind as the Holy Spirit, a unified consciousness, right? If God created everything, if God is eternal, then everything is created as God created it. It cannot change itself, right? The creature cannot oppose the will of the Creator. The metaphor that my own teacher uses to describe that to us is getting in your car. The car doesn't, let's forget about self-driving cars, but choosing the destination is up to me. The car doesn't choose the destination. Can't really say anymore the car doesn't drive itself, but the car doesn't drive itself normally. Now, I'm going to have to kind of drop that part of the metaphor, but the car does not decide where it's going. The car also does not decide how it works. It has been designed, okay, and so it follows the design of its creator. That is a metaphor for, right, the human, the spiritual condition. Car doesn't change itself. Okay, car operates. If it's a gasoline engine, it operates. There's an electrical system, there's a spark, there's an explosion, there's a drivetrain, all of those things, right? Were created by the designer, by the creator. The car doesn't change any of that. The car simply functions the way the creator made it to function. Okay, so we function the way the creator designed us to function. And we cannot change it. So we're already perfect, whole, and complete. Let's just remember that. right? That's the idea. Okay, so that was lesson 80 today. Let's go over to the text, corresponding text. As we do, corresponding text is chapter 10, section 3. Chapter 10, the idols of sickness. Chapter 3, the God of sickness. Section 3. Chapter 10, section 3, the God of sickness. You can find this all online at acim.org. There's a search function over there that is awesome. If you have something that strikes you today, forget where we were in the book, chapter 10, section 3. You can search keywords, and it's a pretty good search function on this website. It comes up pretty accurately. I can generally find what I'm looking for when I don't remember what part of the text or workbook that particular phrase or idea is in. So, chapter 10, section 3, the God of sickness says, you have not attacked God. You have not attacked God, and you do love him. Can you change your reality? Which is what I was just talking about at the end of the workbook, right? So the problem has already been solved. Can I change that fact? In fact, nothing has really changed. My higher self, some portion of myself, in fact, a large portion of myself, the most intelligent part of myself, is asleep dreaming this dream. Also, another metaphor that is always used in metaphysical teachings, esoteric teachings. Okay. Esoteric Christianity, which I like to call this Course in Miracles and teachings that are in the Bible, right? In the parable of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead, and also maybe the centurion, where the story is the daughter is sick or dying or dead. Or Mary says to Jesus, he's been dead 3 days. Why didn't you come sooner? And he says, he's not dead, he only sleeps. And he says to the centurion the same thing. Your daughter is not dead, she only sleeps. So the higher self, in effect, is asleep, and we want to wake the higher self up. The higher self is asleep, dreaming this dream. Okay? The higher self is and can be awakened in the dream, so then we can unify with that higher self, unify and become one with that awakened self, and thus, in the same way that you can lucid dream, okay, we can lucid dream in this dream. We can sort of begin to shape and direct things, right? We can begin that practice. We can begin to practice that skill set, if you will. We can begin to heal. We can begin to do things that are narrated in the Bible that Jesus does, right? All these things I do, even greater things than these shall you do, because I go on to the Father. That is a mystical statement. Okay? It's a mystical statement. It's a metaphor. It's a symbol of operations in consciousness. So you have not attacked God, and you do love him. Can you change your reality? No one can will to destroy himself. When you think you are attacking yourself, it is a sure sign that you hate what you think you are. Right? So again, you can only attack an illusion. And this, and only this, can be attacked by you. What I think I am, not what I am. What I am cannot be attacked. It is invulnerable to attack. It cannot be changed. What you think you are can be very hateful, and what this strange image makes you do can be very destructive. Yet the destruction is no more real than the image, although those who make idols do worship them. The idols are nothing, but their worshipers are the Son of God in sickness. God would have them released from their sickness and returned to his mind. He will not limit your power to help them because he has given it to you. Do not be afraid of it because it is your salvation. Okay, so when I read those last few sentences, when I read that paragraph, it reminds me of what Jesus is doing in the Bible. Idols are worshipers. The idols are the sons of God in sickness, worshiping idols, sons of God, worshiping idols, which causes sickness. God would have them released from their sickness. He will not limit your power to help them. And so the exemplar of that, the highest example of that, is the narrative that we have received, the teachings that we have received that are collected in the Bible. And of course, remember, they are fragments. We don't really know where they came from. We don't really know who the authors are. They've been put in a certain order. I just recently recalled and read again that, for instance, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, then the letters of St. Paul. The letters of St. Paul actually precede Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And generally in the Bible, I tend to think, at least, and based on what people say who talk about the Bible, I think the general idea is that Paul comes after the apostles, right? Because he talks about the death and resurrection of Jesus. But those stories and those writings actually precede the Gospels, the synoptic Gospels. So that's an interesting fact, I think. And of course, a lot of texts, chapters, books, other books, because the Bible is a book that is a collection of books or transcripts or texts which were written down from an oral tradition, right? So the oral tradition is always first. Then God never fails. Star-tide, no, of course not. God never fails. So the texts are written from an oral tradition, right? So first there's always an oral tradition. There's the realization. There's the expression of the realization. Then it gets written down. And then it gets put on a video. So Star-tide, maybe you're well, Star-tide says, do you actually believe God fails? I feel sorry for God wanting to save and unable to, losing most men to hell, if only he was omnipotent. Well, it's hard to tell from the texts there, that just from the comments you're putting there, whether that's straight up what you think. When a man goes to hell, he wanted saved. Is that a failure? Well, I do have an answer to those questions. But we're talking about something else here, and I don't want to get too far off track here, because we're talking about the Course in Miracles, which is more of an advanced metaphysical text. So the first thing I would say is that hell and heaven are states of consciousness. To me, they are not locations. If you follow along with the conversation, if you go to my YouTube channel and look at some of the other transmissions or broadcasts that we have recorded, that I've uploaded over there, you will begin to understand that the discussion here is centered around the Course in Miracles. Again, a metaphysical text, a more advanced text, and we make a distinction there that nobody has been lost in the mind of God. Everybody in the mind of God is simply where they have always been. And we simply find ourselves in a dream or an illusion, so to speak. And so we're already in hell, more or less, because we are operating under the belief that we're separate from God. We're operating, for instance, in a belief in death or in damnation, or so. Trying to answer your questions here, Star Tide, as quickly as I can. And then we're going to go back to the text, but the idea is that the universe is mental, the universe is consciousness. So nobody's really lost, nobody really fails. And again, if you hang around, if you come back, if you go check out some of the other lives that I've uploaded over on YouTube, go search. Go to my account, look for the link to YouTube, go to YouTube, watch some of those other videos. You'll begin to understand that questions you're asking, we're not skipping the logic at all. We're using the logic of the Holy Spirit and the reasoning of the Holy Spirit instead of the logic of the ego mind. So I'll leave it at that for now, but I do appreciate the comments. I appreciate that you're here. And know this, you're already saved. God does not fail. You're already healed. You're already one in the mind of God. You're already one with all of us. Love is your natural inheritance. Love is the state of your being. Hell does not exist, ultimately. And you're already in heaven. There is no failure. There's just learning, right? So quickly, just to finish up, if I'm trying to learn something new and I fail, if I don't, keep trying. If I keep trying, eventually I will master that thing I'm trying to learn. So really, there is no failure. I just want to learn how to fail until I succeed. Okay, so back to the text here. God would have them released from their sickness and return to his mind. The kingdom of heaven is within you, so the kingdom of heaven is God's mind. God's mind is within us. He will not limit your power to help them because he has given it to you. Do not be afraid of it because it is your salvation. What comforter can there be for the sick children of God except his power through you? Remember that it does not matter where in the sonship he is accepted. He is always accepted for all, and when your mind receives him, the remembrance of him awakens throughout sonship. Heal your brothers simply by accepting God for them. Your minds are not separate, and God has only one channel for healing because he has but one Son. God's remaining communication link with all his children joins them together and them to him. Okay, again, unified consciousness. To be aware of this is to heal them because it is the awareness that no one is separate and so no one is sick. So sickness is a reflection of the idea of death. Damnation and hell are a reflection of the idea of death. They are all forms of the idea of separation from God. There is no separation from God. So simply to be aware of this as I am, as you are, as our friend Tom here is, as all of us are aware of that, simply to be aware of that and continue to stay and hold that space, stay in that consciousness, is to heal everyone. Thanks, Tom. Thanks for agreeing. So, to believe that the Son of God can be sick or confused or depressed is to believe that part of God can suffer. So, we reject that idea that part of God can suffer. Love cannot suffer because it cannot attack. The remembrance of love, therefore, brings invulnerability with it. Do not side with sickness in the presence of a Son of God, even if he believes in it. Right? Isn't this awesome how this comes up, how this all goes together? Can you see what's happening right now? Do not side with sickness in the presence of a Son of God, even if he believes in it. For your acceptance of God in him acknowledges the love of God he has forgotten. Okay? Your recognition of him as part of God reminds him of the truth about himself, which he is denying. Would you strengthen his denial of God and thus lose sight of yourself? Or would you remind him of his wholeness and remember your creator with him? So I think the answer to that question is self-evident. And I think we can apply the answers to that question, which is already provided. If you have ears to hear and eyes to see, it's already been provided, so we can apply that in this situation right here, right now. I think it's awesome. The synchronicity, the oneness is awesome, right? If we just look at the situation, truthfully, honestly, and lovingly, and peacefully. To believe a Son of God is sick is to worship the same idol he does. God created love, not idolatry. All forms of idolatry are caricatures of creation, taught by sick minds too divided to know that creation shares power and never usurps it. Sickness is idolatry because it is the belief that power can be taken from you. Yet this is impossible because you are part of God who is all power. A sick God must be an idol made in the image of what its maker thinks he is. That is exactly what the ego does perceive in a Son of God. A sick God, self-created, self-sufficient, very vicious, and very vulnerable. Is this the idol you would worship? Is this the image you would be vigilant to save? Are you really afraid of losing this? So, Startide, I would suggest after the live today, if you'd like, go over to YouTube. Look for my account on YouTube. This is lesson 80. It'll be labeled lesson 80 later in the day on YouTube. Go back and listen to this. Go through it again. Find the spot where you came in and go listen to it again. Came in at about 40 or 45 minutes. Look calmly at the logical conclusion of the ego's thought system. Right? We were talking about logic earlier. Look calmly at the logical conclusion of the ego's thought system and judge whether its offering is really what you want. For this is what it offers you. To obtain this, you are willing to attack the divinity of your brothers and thus lose sight of your own. Are you willing to keep it hidden? To protect an idol you think will save you from the dangers for which it stands, but which do not exist? There are no idolaters or idols in the kingdom, but there is great appreciation for everything that God created. Okay, so we want to think about changing, shifting our thought system. Changing our thoughts is the basic idea. Health in this world is the counterpart of value in heaven. It is not my merit that I contribute to you, but my love, for you do not value yourself. When you do not value yourself, you become sick, but my value of you can heal you, because the value of God's Son is one. When I said, my peace I give unto you, I meant it. Peace comes from God through me to you. It is for you, although you may not ask for it. When a brother is sick, it is because he is not asking for peace and therefore does not know that he has it. The acceptance of peace is the denial of illusion, and sickness is an illusion. Yet every son of God has the power to deny illusions anywhere in the kingdom, merely by denying them completely in himself. I can heal you because I know your value for you, and it is this value that makes you whole. A whole mind is not idolatrous and does not know of conflicting laws. I will heal you merely because I have only one message, and it is true. Your faith in it will make you whole when you have faith in me. Okay, and time's almost up here, so I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to skip about 2 or 3 paragraphs. You can go online to ACIM.org. This is chapter 10, section 3, the God of Sickness. Star Tide, you're talking there about the God of sickness. We want to talk about the God of love. So go to chapter 10, section 3, and then click on to lesson 80 over on YouTube. Listen to it again. Only at the altar of God will you find peace, and this altar is in you because God put it there. His voice still calls you to return, and she will be heard when you place no other gods before him. You can give up the God of sickness for your brothers. In fact, you would have to do so if you give him up for yourself. So, physician, heal thyself. To purify my own mind, to heal myself, is to heal everyone and everything. And so the practice is deeper, 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 deeper. Go deeper, 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 deeper. Ask your questions more sincerely, more honestly, and then stop, wait, be still, learn how to meditate, and listen for the answer. Don't suppose that you know the answer already. Always look for the answer. Okay? The Zen practitioners call that beginner mind, or Buddhists call that beginner mind. Or, as it says in the Bible, you must be born again. Renew your mind. Give up the thoughts. Learn how to work with your thoughts. Give up the thoughts that are blocking you from receiving light. So we're going to give up those thoughts and accept, be still, wait for the new thoughts to come in. We'll sort of might have a aha moment, a revelation, right? Ooh, a realization. Ooh. So, you can give up the God of sickness for your brothers. In fact, you would have to do so if you give him up for yourself. For if you see the God of sickness anywhere, you have accepted him. And if you accept him, you will bow down and worship him, because he was made as God's replacement. God of sickness is the belief that you can choose which God is real. Although it is clear this has nothing to do with reality, it is equally clear that it has everything to do with reality as you perceive it. Okay, so perception is deceptive. Perception can be confusing. Knowledge, however, is very clear, makes perfect sense. At the attainment of knowledge, there are no more questions. One of the things the Course says is that the ego mind, the mind of separation, the mind of confusion, asks many questions, but never gets an answer. So the basis of the ego mind, the mind of separation, is seek but do not find. So we simply want to wash our hands of it, forget about it. As Donnie Brasco says, forget about it. Let it go, let it be, and let it return to the nothingness from which it came. So that is all for today. So I was a little bit earlier today. Tom, good to see you. Thanks for being here, my friend. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for the likes. And also, Start Tide, thank you for being here. Thank you for the questions. We will see you soon. Peace and blessings to everyone. Okay. And thanks, Start Tide. Yep. And also, Tom, thank you. Yes, indeed. That is all for today. I might be back on later at 11 a.m. Central Time. It does depend what's happening while we're installing those cameras. I may go live and mix it up a little bit. Nonetheless, I will be here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Saturday morning Central Time, 11 a.m. Central Time. Or, as always, go to the YouTube channel, as we've been telling our friend Star Tide, our new friend. So peace and blessings, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. Have a great day. Peace. I will talk to you soon.